Welcome, this is Johan for Reality Method. SpaceX and Elon Musk successfully launched the Falcon Heavy into space, with its payload being a Tesla Roadster and Rocket Man, and then obviously a small little version of the two of them as well. Now, how is that related to Reality Method? Well, here's the thing, Reality Method is a single shape, something that Elon actually likes, the idea of first principles. Now, the shape's not an axiom, but fair enough, because it's rather new as a concept. But inside the Reality Method shape is essentially 3 compartments, and inside those you can populate your entire life, including past, present, and future. Now, we can't predict the future, but we can suggest it. And this example of how the Falcon Heavy was suggested with a pre-shown animation of what is supposed to happen, that kind of made this video extremely relevant. And I thought I'd share that with you. Now, I share this in a very amateur way, so I can't really draw, and my discussions aren't always perfect, but here we go. Basically, I'm going to link that animation below here so you can actually go watch it. And then I'm going to link what actually happened as well, so you can see the differences in the two. Now, Reality Method basically has this shape that says that's what your reality looks like, and if we add this, what I call the distribution of interest, it gives you a concept of how your world works. Now, when it comes to goal setting, let's call this goal setting for argument's sake, because the animation that they have is essentially a goal that they set, and they said what we want to have happen is kind of what this is. So we'll call that goal for SpaceX the animation video that you can go watch below here. And basically how Reality Method works is that it says imagine anything for your future. You can't predict it, but you can suggest it. So what you have there is some sort of a goal, something that has to happen. And in this case it was that Tesla Roadster being by itself on its way to Mars. Okay, so that was the goal. How do you make that happen? And basically I call that marker methods, and there's little markers here that you get in the marketplace to say that this is kind of showing me that I'm on my way there. And to get these, you've obviously then got to go do a layer of steps, and if you get that, you can move over to the next one, get that, move over to the next one, and so you gain experience or value in the marketplace. Now, this obviously represents your past or external factors that we don't control. And with regards to SpaceX's launch today, there are thousands, if not millions, of things that can go wrong. But it almost went perfect. Okay, so here's what happened. And you can see this on the video. So basically there's 3 Falcon 9 rockets that was launched today, and it's the first time that SpaceX actually has this particular configuration. So it was all launched at a particular place, and one of the significant things was that launch pad. Will it hold? Because there's 5 million pounds of thrust, which is kind of like 18 747 18 747s. That's the kind of thrust that went onto that small little space there, so you can imagine the pressure. So basically what happens, that was the first thing. Then, call that one. A second thing that Elon was concerned about is, yes, these things are rigid. Well, actually, nice representation, but basically these things are fairly rigid. But as the pressures builds onto them, they might, flex a little bit, and if they touch, what'll happen? So that was a big concern. But basically, it went okay. And the first or the third thing that had to happen was that these rockets were supposed to detach, and this could be threat number 3, detach, and then basically return themselves to a launch pad close to there. And now these fins popped out, which was a very significant part for them as well, to see how that worked. To go back, and these 2 side boosters then successfully detached as well, so that was number 3 ticked. Then the vehicle went on a long ways, and it actually had to detach, so we'll make another one here for the center core. And then there was a section here with a small little booster rocket going even further. I'll do that to the side now in a bit. Now, detachment of this was very significant as well, so that had to detach properly as well, and that then had to come back to a drone ship and land, I suppose, with the same kind of a look and feel as well on the drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean. Now, that was number 5, let's say, and then number 6 was that I'm going to move that picture over here, which is kind of a pity because it's going nice in one direction. But basically there were 2 little flaps or lobes on the side of that rocket which had to detach as well, and on the inside there was a car, a Tesla Roadster with Rocket Man inside, and pretty close. Okay, so that's kind of what that looks like. And that then has to go into space. It's kind of dwelling there for a couple of hours. Lots of issues there. Will the fuel freeze? Will it not? Is there space debris? Perhaps it's going to have an issue there. And after 5 or 6 hours, I'm actually going to have a look and see if that's happened properly. They're going to shoot that sucker over to Mars. And it's going to, if I'm correct, it's going to stay in orbit there for a while, or I'm not sure if it's actually going further into space as well. But that is the animation that they showed us. And the interesting thing is that then when it happened, it was crazy how close that animation was to what actually happened. And the footage was brilliant. So basically, step 1 was to launch the vehicle. Now obviously you have to build it and everything else. So there's a whole bunch of processes in life that we have to do, steps that we've got to take to make something in the marketplace with no significant value. This thing on the launch pad has no value whatsoever. Right, and then it launches up. Right, so it's on phase 2 and a whole bunch of stuff has to happen. This thing should not break apart. And then it's step 3 for argument's sake, and a whole bunch of stuff has to happen, and the 2 side rockets has to detach, and then step 4 or level 4 land, which they did. That happened. This was okay. Detached properly. That happened. And then the vehicle had to detach from the payload essentially, which was the vehicle or the Roadster up front. And it had to return. That happened properly. It had to return. This did not happen. This sucker landed with about 300 miles per hour and actually destroyed probably the drone ship, or had an impact there. 2 or so engines was destroyed, but basically it missed it a little bit. Elon suggested that it could have been the amount of fuel that was available for the stop of this because of that high velocity that was there. So maybe there was not enough fuel essentially for it to go, to come back and to burn again, that last little burn to kind of stop it and have it land there. It's been successful in the past, didn't happen this time. Okay, and then that detached, and you can see some excellent footage of the vehicle with the Earth in the background. It is exciting as hell. I'm talking fast because I don't want to make this long. I want you to go watch this video stuff. So here's how that works in reality method. A whole bunch of stuff can go wrong. That's the external things that we have no control over. But basically, you've got this animation in your head, this concept of what you want your life to look like X time in the future. You can't predict it, but you can suggest it. You can draw it out for yourself. And that's the goal that SpaceX had with their animation part. And how they knew that that thing was going to happen, obviously there's a huge component here up front that basically builds, that had that rocket built, right? And at that particular moment they got it onto the launch pad. The past, we talk about in reality method, we talk about how reality method actually moves in Planck time scale with time, but we only perceive that second per second, of course. But basically, they got this thing on the launch pad, all the stuff, all the hard work that the team did, got that there. No value at all. But then the rockets went, and it survived that first stage with there's actually some footage of that as well, where it's nice and stable, actually did pretty well. Then it detached properly as well, so that went well. The 2 rockets landed spectacularly. It's the most amazing thing. It just blows your mind. It's beautiful. Okay, so that happened. Then this one detached. That went perfectly. Unfortunately, we lost the footage here, and it's because it kind of hit that thing, the drone ship, pretty hard. So that happened, or that did not happen. So basically, out of everything here, that thing there did not happen, and the value out of all the stuff they could have learned out of there, they don't have. But it's okay because they were not going to reuse that. As again, these 2 were the most significant ones, especially those fins, if I understand it properly, because they're going to be reused And that was a new portion there, if I get it. And then, of course, the detachment of the two lobes, essentially, and the value, the really kick-ass bit, sorry for my swearing, kick-ass bit was this little detachment, and hopefully it goes on its way to Mars. And that's kind of how you see how you can not predict your future, but suggest your future in animation, see what has to happen for that to be true, and then one level at a time, one step at a time, go make those things happen. This is what you do in your present moment, and that is your result at the end of the week, month, year, however long that process takes. And that is how you create your life. That is how you suggest your future, and that's how you make it from the present to the future and get what you want. Elon, congratulations. SpaceX team, congratulations. I have goosebumps since last night. It's absolutely spectacular. Wonderful stuff that you're doing. Thanks so much for your work. This thing creates options left, right, and center for government and all kinds of companies, and I actually follow one of those as well that wants to mine asteroids, and perhaps they participate with the Falcon program. I don't know. It doesn't matter. This is all very, very exciting for our future. As always, this is your Hunt for Reality method. Enjoy the journey.